Hi everyone, I'm Key and this is our group presentation video. Our chosen country is Indonesia. For the first question is how globalization influenced the political economy of our chosen country, explained with reference to the system that comprise the nation political economies and what challenge might the legal system of our chosen countries present for an Australian firm considering establishing a presence in our country. Globalization has impacted Indonesia's political economy through its influence on the three key systems that comprise nation political economy: the political system, the economic system, and the legal system. Indonesia has been forced to modernize and democratize as a result of globalization. In democracies, they have free media, limited term for elected representatives, and fair and independent court system. Since the fall of Suharto authoritarian administration in 1988, international norms and trade relations have encouraged democratic changes, decentralizations, and more political transparency. Furthermore, pressure from foreign investment has driven Indonesia to embrace anti-corruption and open government policies. Nonetheless, regional power dynamics and oligarchy continue to dominate politics, potentially affecting policy coherence. For the economic system, Indonesia has adopted a mixed market economy and is now more involved in international trades. In mixed economy, certain sectors of the economy are left to private ownership and free market mechanism, while other sectors have significant state ownership and government planning, and government tend to own firms considered important to national securities. And it takes an active role in multilateral agreement like as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership (RCEP) and the member of ASEAN. Cheap labor, plentiful resources, and strategic position have all contributed to an increase of foreign direct investment (FDI), particularly in the industrial, mining, and technology sector. Despite the restriction on foreign ownership, Indonesia continued to protect key industries, including media, agriculture, and natural resources. Indonesia's legal system combines the Islamic customary law and civil law, which based on detailed set of law organized into codes. Globalization put pressures on its laws, such as those governing intellectual properties, labor rights, and the environment to adhere to international standards. Although the Omnibus Law and other regulatory measures were intended to improve the business climate, their implementation has been patchy. Another point to be concerned is challenges the legal system might present to us as an Australian firm. Firstly, Indonesia labor regulations are rigid, especially regarding dismissal processes and severance payments. Navigating compliance can be challenging without local legal support. The second challenge to be pointing at is decentralization. Indonesia regional autonomy laws give significant power to local governments. This can result in conflicting local regulations and additional layers to bureaucracy. Finally, foreign ownership laws. Certain industries have limits on foreign ownerships, which may necessitate engaging in joint ventures with local businesses or obtaining approval from the government. In conclusion, globalization has significantly shaped Indonesia's political economy by encouraging democratic reforms, market liberalization, and greater engagement with international trades. While these developments attract opportunities for Australian businesses, the challenges posed by Indonesia's legal system, such as inconsistent enforcement, bureaucratic complexity, and regulatory uncertainty, highlight the need for thorough risk assessment and local expertise when entering the market.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm going to be talk with the second question. Indonesia is the biggest economy in Southeast Asia. Its GDP grew more than 5% in 2022, showing strong economic growth. Manufacturing, meaning agriculture and digital service, are the country's main sectors. It also gets foreign direct investment or FDI, especially in energy, finance, and e-commerce. Economic development is normally measured by GNI and PPP. These indicators inform us about the amount of money people earn and what they can afford based on their incomes. These statistics, however, do not reflect the whole story. They do not show income disparities or the gap between rich and poor people, nor do they reflect unrecorded in economic activities like cash labor or local exchange, which is common in Indonesia. Also, Indonesia has strong GDP growth. Economic progress is unevenly distributed across region, and informal economic activities is widespread. So although the economy of Indonesia is growing, some people and area may be left behind. Let's look at human development. The Human Development Index, or HDI, includes life expectancy, education, and income. It gives a more precise picture of people's quality of life. Indonesia's HDI around 0.705, which is medium. It has a high literacy rate, like most people can read and write. Access to university education and quality healthy, however, remains low, especially in rural area. The life expectancy is around 72 years, which is lower than in Australia. Human development in Indonesia remains unequal, especially in rural area, where access to education and health remains low. Amartya Sen has argued that true development is richer than wealth, and that is encompasses freedom, opportunity, and well-being. Hence, the HDI reflects people's ability to lead healthy, full lives, and not just economic well-being. Which is more significant for Australian companies? In my opinion, human development is more significant than economic development of most Australian companies, because better educated employees are more productive, healthier consumers are more consistent, and secure societies minimize business risks. For example, if Deakin University were to set up a partner campus in Indonesia, good human development would be the property, even when the nation is growing economically. In the quote, students' access to education or the internet meant case to business to fall. Furthermore, the innovation and entrepreneurship need education, good health, and good legal system. And the last point is Indonesia is a civil law nation with a democratic form of government. This means that there exist formal rules, but in some respect, corruption is still a problem. For overseas companies, contract law and property rights issues come into play in protecting business interest. Even if a market looks lucrative, business must make sure that rights are safe and dues are honored successfully.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuhao Zhao. In this presentation, I will assess the cultural distance between Indonesia and Australia by applying two important theoretical frameworks from our course. First, I will use host food culture dimension theory to explain the specific cultural difference between the two countries. Second, I will apply the cultural convergence and divergence framework to analyze how globalization has influenced this culture, whether they are becoming more similar or more different over time. According to host food culture dimension theory, there are significant cultural differences between Indonesia and Australia. In terms of power distance, Indonesia scores very high. This means Indonesia's society accepts inequality and respects authority figures. In contrast, Australia scores low, showing a preference for equality, open communication, and informal relationships. Another key difference is individualism. Australia is one of the most individualism cultures in the world, valuing independence and personal freedom. On the other hand, Indonesia is a collective society where people, family, community, and social harmony. Indonesia also scores higher on long-term orientation, reflecting a future-oriented culture that values patience and preserving tradition. Meanwhile, Australia is more short-term focused, emphasizing quick results and innovation. Finally, Australia is more indulgent culture, while enjoying life and leisure activity is highly valued. Indonesia showed restraint, with people following social norm and religion practice. This data is clearly show the comparison chart from host food insight. To analyze whether these two cultures are becoming more similar or more different, I will apply the cultural convergence and the divergence framework discussed in our lecture content. On the surface, globalization has led to cultural convergence in many aspects of daily life. For example, young people in both Indonesia and Australia use social media, enjoy global fashion, and consume international entertainment. However, according to data from World Value Survey, the two countries still belong to very different values. Australia represents a secular, regional, and self-expression oriented society, focusing on individual rights and personal freedom. In contrast, Indonesia maintains traditional and survival value, with religion, family loyalty, and social obligation remaining central to people's lives. This shows that while lifestyle may look similar due to globalization, their core cultural values remain very different, indicating cultural divergence at a deeper level. In conclusion, host food theory shows that Indonesia and Australia have significant cultural distance, especially in power distance, individualism, and long-term orientation. Globalization has created some cultural convergence in lifestyle and communications partners. However, the World Value Survey provides strong evidence that their core values remain distinct, reflecting cultural divergence. For international business, understanding and respecting this cultural difference is essential for successful communication and cooperation.
Hello everyone, my name is Shinigan. I do the question 4, Indonesia's international trade strategy. These are 4 parts I will talk about today. Okay, let's go. I will start my topic. Okay, I have a question for you on the screen. What do you think of the international trade dealing for Indonesia? That is a subject I will tackle today. The 2 economic theories I will explore to explain this are Adam Smith's theory of absolute advantage and David Ricardo's theory of comparative advantage. I will conclude by proposing which theory should guide Indonesia's trade theory. Adam Smith, the absolute advantage, an economic theory proposed by Adam Smith known as the absolute advantage, posed that a nation should focus solely on the production and international market sales of goods that it can manufacture at a lower cost compared to other nations. In resources-based industries, Indonesia has an undeniable edge. It encompasses the world palm oil markets because of its abundant chemical palm oil minerals and low-wage workforce, nickel, rubber, coal, and oil. Indonesia, as per the World Bank, is the largest exporter of palm oil, having revenue exceeding $20 billion in 2022. Smith theory posits that Indonesia should continue exporting these commodities where Indonesia's effectiveness surpasses that of other nations. Richard's comparative advantage. On the other hand, David Richard argued that countries should focus on the goods with the minimized opportunity cost, even if they do not excel in general. According to this theory, Indonesia should focus on labor-intensive manufacturing activities, which include electronics assembly, food processing, and textiles. These industries benefit from Indonesia's large, useful, and cheap labor supplies. As of 2021, over 17 billion Indonesians worked in the manufacturing sector, which showcases great industrial capability according to UNCTAD's 2022 report. Adopting Richard's theory, Indonesia is urged to move from raw materials to higher-tier goods that are exports and can sustain growth while being inclusive and environmentally friendly. Which theory is best for Indonesia? Though both have their strengths, I believe Richard's model of comparative advantage should take precedence for Indonesia. Why? Given the country's reliance on unrefined resources, it is exposed to market volatility, environmental shocks, and stagnated economic growth. Studies like those of Baddelby, Lee, and Clark report that an abundance of natural resources can be economically devastating in the long run, termed the resources curse. These studies have much concern regarding temporal growth. By focusing on value-added goods, Indonesia can change this narrative. Rather, Indonesia can diversify its economy, create skilled jobs, and reduce vulnerability to global commodity shocks. The government's focus on electronics, automotive, and drugs industry under the Making Indonesia 4.0 policy indicates this shift. Final thoughts. To sum up, Ricardo's theory supports specialization on sectors with the lowest opportunity cost, like in manufacturing, while Smith's theory, on the other hand, advises Indonesia to export the goods it does best in, which includes their palm oil and coal.